So, I want to welcome everyone to our June 15th, 2017 Village of Tinley Park Plan Commission meeting, and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. And if the Secretary will please call the roll.
Bergfeld? Janowski?
Here.
Capel?
Here.
Croner?
Here.
Moylan?
Here.
Shaw? Stanton? Matusha?
Oh, yes, and I'm here as well. So
Sorry.
we barely have a quorum, but we have one. And the way I feel, I don't mind if you miss me today. If I happen to cough and sneeze through the whole thing, don't mind me. We have the first item would be approval of the minutes, and I apologize, Barb. When I mentioned to make the petition that we received from the objector number 8 a part of the record, I should have indicated to specify a little more what the petition was about and how many signatures were on it. So if the members of the commission don't object, and whoever makes a motion, I would suggest we amend the minutes on, I believe it's page 13 of our regular meeting from June 1st, under resident number 8, where it says petition submitted. There were some comments about that, but I would suggest that whoever moves to amend includes petition opposing the development on both height and site plan objections submitted by more than 500 residents be part of the amendment, if there's no objections. Having just reviewed it, I can affirm there's more than 500 signatures, and that seems to be a summary of their objections. I could go into greater detail, but I think that'll accurately reflect what happened with that when the board looks, village board looks at the minutes. And I think, Peter, you had a point as well?
Yeah, Barb, on page 12, after my statements asking about the Tracy Cross market analysis, market study that they were going to present to us, it was committed to by Mr. Gregory and Ms. Crowley that the Plan Commission and staff would have this report, full report, and market study, the Tracy Cross market report and study, submitted to all of us no later than June 12th, 2017. And that was done on behalf of, those statements were made on behalf of the petitioner.
Anyone else have any other amendments before we ask for motion?
No. I would go ahead and move that we approve the minutes as amended,
Okay.
with both amendments. from
Been
the
moved
last
by
Plan
Commissioner
Commission.
Croner and
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Moylan.
I think Mr. Janowski.
Sorry.
already
Commissioner
seconded it.
Janowski trumped you on that.
Okay.
At any rate, all those in favor of approval of the minutes as amended signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. First item we have is a public hearing continued from June 1st on the development known as the Residence at Brookside Glen, which is the southwest corner of Magnuson Lane and 191st Street, for site plan approval and special use permit. We have discussed that the number of people who plan on attending the continued public hearing seem to be in excess of the ability of the Village Hall to house them. So the idea would be to immediately close the public hearing and send out proper notice for the new meeting on the 28th of June at Andrew High School so that we can accommodate the public. So I guess we'll first entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. As I've indicated, due to space concerns and the ability to house everyone for the next meeting, it was felt the wisest thing to do to allow the public opportunity to attend and express their views would be to close this current public hearing and send out notice for a meeting at Andrew High School on Wednesday, June 28th at 7:30 p.m. So, that being the case, we'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I just got one question, Chairman.
Sure.
This may be directed to staff. As far as the location, Andrew High School, how is that determined? As far as going to that location, you know, the concern is with the development being over on the Will County side, and we've held public hearings over at the Odyssey. Was that ever taken into consideration? In lieu of the Andrew High School, so it would be convenient for the residents?
Sure, I understand your concern. It's the clerk's office that handles the meeting locations when we change the location. I'm not sure how they determined. I'm sure it has something to do with the availability of the space and the cost as well. So those are probably two of the major factors in determining that. Staff has already put notice in the paper for the meeting to be at Andrew High School on the 28th at 7:30. So we've already proceeded with moving forward with that location.
Okay. Well, if the mailing's already done, I guess there's no consideration then.
If you want to do it now for the closing, that's fine.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments before we entertain a motion to close public hearing?
I do just have one comment, Mr. Chair. And I know the commissioners, I'm sure, will share my opinion on this, and I want a part of the record, and that's why I'm doing it right now. The petitioner has made numerous statements and promises to this commission, and unless I'm mistaken, has staff received an updated Tracy Cross market study and report that they promised us on June 12th?
I have not.
Has any of the commissioners received this report?
I have not. No.
No.
I want it as part of the record, please, that once again, the petitioner has failed to live up to an expectation that they committed to this commission and to the residents of Tinley Park. And it's not the first time that this has happened. And to make a commitment to a public body entertaining their petition is inexcusable.
Okay, any other comments or questions from the commissioners before we entertain a motion to close the public hearing? Hearing none, we'll entertain such a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
That's so moved. And is there a second?
Second, Commissioner Janowski.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next on our agenda, we have for site plan approval, the Portillo's drive-through modification at 15900 Harlem Avenue. And who do we have with us? Wendy Hunter was listed. Who's here today from Portillo's?
I'm Adam Brown, construction manager.
Okay. All right. We'll hear from staff first, and Stephanie, if you want to run us through an overview here, and then we'll be happy to hear your comments as soon as we've got the staff summary.
Thank you. And I've been told to sit so that the microphone picks me out better, so hopefully that's okay rather than the usual stand.
Paula made that comment last time. We're not offended if you sit. That's fine.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Tonight, our first, I guess technically second item on the agenda tonight is Portillo's. They are looking to make a modification to their drive-through to allow for an expansion along the north side of the drive-through. The applicant proposes, like I said, we're widening the north portion of the drive-through lane, adding pavement markings that increase safety in certain locations. They propose to relocate the existing menu board and speaker and add a new pre-sale menu board similar to what we saw at the McDonald's project a few months ago, and also add new landscaping at the site in some areas. I do want to note this is a relatively small-scale project and only requires site plan approval from the Plan Commission. We don't require a public hearing in this case because there are no variations proposed, and the Plan Commission may elect to take action tonight in one single meeting if you feel it is appropriate. All right, as you can see on the screen here, this is the color site plan And you can see in this area, and I apologize, I am going to get up so I can point to a couple things on the computer. I'll try and project a little. So you can see up here on the north, this is where they propose to have the widened lane. Currently, this is just one lane, and we'll see that in the next picture. And another thing I'd like to point out, this was a big concern, both as someone who has had issues in this drive-through as a customer myself, but the police department was also concerned about the entrance and exit to the drive-through here, where vehicles are often leaving. They've got current stacking that goes all the way up to about here, and then you have people that are leaving that have their food that turn in front of this car that's waiting still. So thankfully the petitioner agreed to move that stacking stop bar back here, more by the current pickup window, and actually make some dedicated space for left and right turn maneuvers in this location. So we'll see less traffic conflict at the end of the drive-thru. And I know everyone's always racing to get their food home while it's still hot. So hopefully we'll see less potential accidents there because of these new markings.
That was going to be one of the questions I had, and I'm happy to hear and see you work with us on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure all of us have been through this drive-thru, so it's great to see some improvements here, and hopefully it'll help everyone get their food faster too, so you'll have lots of happy customers. Here's the existing site. As you can see, the current site here is just one lane until about this corner here, and then it becomes a 2-lane, so you have that bypass lane if you happen to get your food early. And basically what they're doing is they'll be taking away some of the landscaping here in order to extend that drive-through north. We do have a Village of Tinley Park sign right here. We have a sign easement on their property for that sign. They will not be modifying that sign or the area around it. So we'll see that sign remain. And as I said, also there are quite a bit of landscape improvements to both the north and west side of, or sorry, east side of the property. And I've got the landscape plan in here as well. Really quickly, I'm going to talk about the zoning of the area for the report. As you can see, the Portillo's site is the Gold Star location, and it's zoned B3, and it's part of the Park Center Plaza Plan Unit Development, also known as the Cubs Food PUD, if you remember when Cubs Food was there.
I'm dating myself, but yes, I do.
I won't tell you the year, but
You don't have to.
to the north, we've got Orland Park. You can see it's sort of the dividing line here on the screen. This is the boundary line between Tinley Park and Orland Park, right in the middle of 159. And then we have some B2 zoning across to the east of Harlem. And then the nearest residential is the church to the west of Park Center Plaza. The Orland Park zoning is also business. So again, this site has been there quite a while. It's been complementary to a lot of the commercial in this particular busy intersection of 159th and Harlem. Here's the site plan again. You can see around this curve too, they've got some more heavy-duty pavement here in this corner. And actually, the police department was a little concerned about the radius right here, and the petitioner thankfully revised their plans accordingly to make that a little bit easier turning radius along this corner. So we've got all of our concerns addressed by the petitioner at this point. We don't really have any major open items. In fact, I don't think we have any minor ones either. So the site has pretty much complied with any of the concerns we've had with Portillo's team. This is the landscape plan they're proposing, and you can see they're adding quite a bit of plantings along the north side of the drive-through here, and also along the east side of the property here. So again, this will really make a more focal point of this prime intersection entering Tinley Park. It'll be complementary to the village sign, which is at the corner here. And it'll really liven up this area, and we've got some elevation change in there as well, so you're not going to see as much of the drive-through, I believe. You'll kind of have this landscape almost berming that. One other thing that they are proposing to change, as I mentioned, is the location of the menu board. As most of us know that have gone to this drive-through, we typically get asked for our order about right here. So for those of us that get into the drive-through not knowing what they have until when you're pretty much paying down here, they are going to have a pre-sales board. So they've got some advertisement of the menu here. and they're going to move this menu board up because, again, by extending this particular drive-through and widening it, they're going to sort of move all their operations further toward the beginning of the line. And so you'll see, like I said, I believe faster turnaround for actually getting your food once you get around this bend here.
So the menu board will just be on the left side of the double lane there?
Yeah.
Yes, so it'll just be on the left side. And they have added striping through here too, so their staff can walk between here safely and the cars won't be necessarily running over that area. That was a concern too if we have 2 lanes of traffic where their staff is out taking orders. We want to make sure they sort of have a safe spot between here that's clearly marked, and they've accommodated that. As I said, a lot of people that get in the line already know what they want before the menu board, so this is probably just a minor help, I think, to get some of these menus a little bit closer rather than having them down here. They did do this particular menu board back in the fall, I believe, is when they got their permit. And so this is an image from that sign permit from last fall, and they will be taking the same sign, and this will go here. I forgot I have these fun little circles on here. So that'll go there, and then the pre-sales board will go up there at the corner. And we didn't get a sign plan for that, but the petitioner is aware that it has to meet all of our sign regulations.
Was there any concern from public safety in terms of people on the outer lane looking over the inner lane and trying to read the menu from that distance, or as opposed, I don't know, I don't want too many signs up there either, but
You have to have a pretty good eye to read that menu from the other lane, probably. But,
Yeah.
I'm sure that's what the staff are there to do. They're there to help administrate what the menu is, and I'm sure they're well versed in exactly what's served. And again, many people come knowing what they want already.
okay, but Public Safety Committee didn't have
They
any
did
issue
not
with
have
it?
any
Okay.
concerns. Police did not have any concerns other than the actual radius around that turn and the actual striping and safety of having a place for the employees. And they're actually going to have along the interior side, the parking lot side of this, they'll have a full sidewalk for the employees. I think it's a couple feet wide, and it'll be just something where at least that interior employee has a safe haven, because I know right now there's only certain sections, I believe, that have that. And that's all I have for my presentation. I'll pull up the site plan, and if the petitioner would like to speak anything extra to the presentation, you're welcome to do that, or if you have any questions for me.
Just, I've got one quick question. The 10-foot lanes, that's adequate to also have an individual walk in between those two? I mean, public safety had no issues with that.
They have no issues, and we don't have regulations for drive-through lanes in particular. A parking space is usually 9 feet wide, so 10 is adequate. And again, the turning maneuver is what the police department was concerned with, and they've already adjusted their plans accordingly to address that concern. So hopefully everyone stays in their lanes.
There's only so much we can do, but thank you, Stephanie. You're on.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Nance. I'm with R.E. Smith National. We're the civil engineers and development managers for the project. Also have with me tonight Adam Brown. He's the facilities and construction manager with Portillo's. And we're here on behalf of Wendy Hunter with HDG and Portillo's as the applicant. Would like to say first that the staff did an excellent job with the report here. We really don't have any objections to any information that was provided there. We've worked closely with staff to make these improvements and what you're seeing in front of you. Portillo's is very excited about this improvement. It's going to benefit both their customers and their employees for employee safety. As we all know, I drove by the site earlier today, and you can see the stacking. It's constantly stacking. This time of day, you see cars stacking. So what they want to do is alleviate that, make it move smoother, keep the customers happy, improve the safety of the employees, at the same time beautify the site with additional landscaping. So I think everyone really wins in this situation. We're excited about it, And I'll just open it up for any questions that you may have at this point.
Yeah, I think particularly since it is the premier entrance to from the north to the village, that we appreciate your working with staff on the landscape improvements. I think the corner could use a little sprucing up, and certainly for the safety purposes, we're happy to see what we've seen here. I think we've covered all the questions. I don't know if any other commissioners have
Sure.
any questions. Mark, go ahead.
Yep, thanks, Chairman. Mr. Nance, how does a stop bar work? Can you,
The stop bar?
yes.
Well, it's as similar as when you have a stop sign, there's a stop bar on the asphalt. You know that, right? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah,
The
so it's
stop
not a
the
bar
painted-
that's
the
coming
painted-
down.
Yes, the stop bar is just a painted marking on the asphalt. Yes.
Okay. And then, I know on was it the south end of the building, there were 3 designated parking spots for pickup? Are those still going to be there, or will
Yes, those would all remain.
those would
Yes.
remain? Okay. And the outside lane coming on the north end, so, but really, if there's that many cars, you'll have people out taking orders, is that right? So people from the outside lane are not going to be yelling over to the,
That's correct.
Menu board
Generally, they have
to-
6 to 8 employees working the lane, providing menus, taking orders, taking cash, credit cards, whatever, to make the transaction. Once someone has their order taken, they're still in line, the order is processed, food runner comes out with the food, they give it to the customer in the car, and at that time, the customer can turn out and use the bypass lane to exit. So they're not waiting in this line before the customer in front of them gets their order.
okay. And then, so getting back to the stop bar again, so it's not a gate, it's just a painted
That's correct.
line
It's
on
a
the ground?
painted
Just a
marking
painted
on
bar
the
on the
asphalt.
road, yeah.
Okay. Because what I've noticed is our cars, they pull all the way up to the front of, or was it the south end, or the south end of the building. So I guess what will stop cars from doing that if their orders are not ready? Like, will employees?
Well, again, the employees they're acting also as traffic control to some extent, waving people forward, telling people to stop, here's your order, take your order. So the employees are an important part of this. There'll be 6 to 8 employees out there at all times, directing traffic, taking orders, taking money for the transaction, and running the food back to the vehicles.
Okay. And so the outside lane, how do they actually pay? Like, how do they get to a window to?
The outside lane is really more for a bypass
A
type lane.
bypass, okay.
Yes. So the inside lane is where they're taking orders. Once they receive their order, they're using the outside lane for a bypass coming out rather.
So they'll still stay on the inside lane for getting,
Correct.
okay.
I
Okay.
might add that it would be very rare for you to actually pay at one of our windows or pick up your food at one of our windows. All of the transactions are handled by our employees in the drive-thru.
Drive-through, okay.
Okay. Any other questions from the commission or the petitioner? All right.
Thank you.
Appreciate your working with us.
Sure.
And I think at this time, we will welcome a motion to grant site plan approval to the applicant, if someone would like to make a motion.
Sure.
Mark?
Commissioner
Tony?
Kowalski.
Tony's got it.
Site plan approval, make a motion to grant site plan approval to the applicant Wendy Hunter of Hunter Development Group on behalf of Portillo's Hot Dogs LLC for modification of existing drive-through lane at Portillo's located on 15900 Harlem Avenue in a B3 PD general business and commercial Park Center Plaza planned unit development. In accordance with plans as noted on the list of reviewed plans within the staff report. That's the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Moylan seconded. All right, if the secretary will call the roll.
Janowski,
Yes?
Capel,
Yes.
Croner,
Yes.
Moylan,
Yes.
Matushek.
Yes. Motion carries.
very much.
Congratulations,
Good luck.
and
Thank you.
yes, hope you have continued success, and look forward to seeing that corner cleaned up.
When will you
All right.
start construction?
As soon as we can.
All right.
As soon as the stacking's empty, right?
Yeah. You're welcome to submit for a building permit at any time.
Oh, thank you,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
luck.
you, Mr. Nance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stephanie, how long does it take to get that approved, the application approved?
A building permit application? It really depends on the plans that they
Complexity.
submit. Sometimes, to meet certain codes for the building codes, they need revisions. So generally, we get a review done within a couple weeks. If there's any comments or revisions needed, things that need to be addressed, we send them a letter with those. And then it's just a matter of when we get plans back.
So
And
anticipate this project here. It seems like it's,
Mid-July.
It seems like a relatively small-scale project, but they also have to get, I believe, possibly IDOT approval for anything that they're doing north of the property. IDOT generally takes a little bit of time.
but I mean, from our standpoint. I'm
From our,
just- what we can
from our
control.
standpoint, I think it would be relatively fast, but I'm also not directly involved in the whole permit taken and release process. So I don't want to
Time.
give you a date because.
No, I understand. Just an approximate time frame of relatively fast. Does it take a month for us to issue a building permit after you have everything?
I would hope a month or so.
Okay. Thank
But
you.
I can get you a more accurate estimate.
Yeah.
No, a month is
by
fine.
talking
That's
to
My,
what
my wife wants to extend the fence due to the new dog that's joined the household, so I'll let you know how that goes. Yes.
Congratulations.
All right.
Awesome.
Residential permits are faster. I mean, if it's a fence, it's.
Sometimes. We'll see. All right, next item on our agenda, item number 3 is another request for site plan approval for Tinley Park Distribution Center number 7, which is on the southwest corner of I-80 and Ridgeland Avenue. We have a request by the applicant, Don Schoenheider of Hillwood, on behalf of I-80 Commerce Center number 2 LLC for a 295,690 square foot industrial building and related site improvements. Stephanie, we'll welcome staff comments on this one.
Great. Thank you very much. And for item number 3, tonight we have Tinley Park Distribution Center number 7 for site plan approval. This is actually building 2 within Tinley Park Corporate Center PUD. Again, Tinley Park Corporate Center is just located south of Interstate 80 between Oak Park Avenue and Ridgeland Avenue. As you know, there's already an existing 915,000 square foot building that was built, I think back in 2008, I said in here. And they're looking to now construct the second building on Lot 2. The building, as you mentioned, will be 295,690 square feet. It's an industrial spec building, so it's a shell. They don't have tenants identified for it yet, so we don't have all of the specific interior plans. They are proposing to go ahead and get construction going while I believe they're searching for some of those tenants. And Greg from Hillwood is here tonight, and he can speak more specifically to that part of the process. But as of right now, we're approving the site plan, and we'll hopefully get some great tenants in there later on. This includes a completely new building, new parking, lighting, stormwater detention, public utilities, and landscaping. The current site is completely vacant. This is the proposed rendering of the building. It's much like many other industrial buildings you see. It's complementary to the existing building on Lot 1. It is made of precast in different gray tones, and we do have some materials up here. I'll pass those out to you. You want a bit of a workout? This precast piece is, maybe 20 pounds. See this? Or just hold it. Careful. You make it look easy. And then I've got some glass.
Flip it over.
I don't think I'll toss this to you, all right?
There's some steel. And then these are the grate. So they're proposing to be on the exterior. Oh, sure.
This is more of Lori's alley right here.
And I would like to note for the record, similar to the Portillo's project you heard just now, this project only needs site plan approval because it's vastly in conformance with the 2007 PUD for Tinley Park Corporate Center. And so we do not need a public hearing. They're not requesting any variances. If you choose to do so, you're welcome to take action on this project in a single meeting. All right. And they said they would like to ideally get going on construction this fall and hopefully be able to have the shell completed sometime early next year or mid next year, according to our last meeting. Here is the site plan for the project. And really quick, I want to go over, this is the existing site. You can see there is nothing there except for a triangular shaped retention pond on what is known as Lot 3. And Lot 2 will end up connecting to Lot 1 on the west side of the property there. They will share that access point off of Prosperity Drive that currently is used by lot number 1. They will connect over to Ridgeland as well. And someday, hopefully we can get Prosperity Drive to go through the unincorporated parcel to the south of this. So you'll see a more direct connection through there.
Who,
Has there been arrangements made already for right-of-way in terms of that, or is that something that's going to have to be acquired for Prosperity?
Currently, that parcel that Prosperity would go through, and let me see if I've got a better picture here. Yeah. So currently, this piece is not part of Tinley Park. It's part of just unincorporated Cook County, and Prosperity would essentially go kind of right through the middle of this. It kept its current alignment pattern. We don't have any plans for this piece right now. It's really up to that property owner. And
Okay.
obviously would request whenever that parcel came into the village that we work on extending that public road. Okay, so in the staff report I provided a brief history of the PUD because it kind of came and went during the economic downturn. And we did get the first building built, which is off the screen here. We got the larger building built in 2008. It was a while before it actually got leased, and now we have M Block there. And they do quite a nice operation there, I believe. They like the space. And now the property's been purchased by a new owner, which is Hillwood, and they're looking to build the second building here and get some more industrial tenants in the area. In 2007, this was approved as the Tinley Park Corporate Center First Industrial PUD as Ordinance 2007-0007, and that was included in your meeting packet. If you have any questions about the ordinance, please let me know. There was a substantial deviation from the PUD approved in 2015 as Ordinance 2015-0044, and that's also in your packet. This basically just formally allowed Lot 1 and Lot 2 to be phases rather than all at one point, even though obviously in 2008 the second lot wasn't built. It's more for public infrastructure type improvements that it had to be formally phased. And they recently had their plat of subdivision approved, so we've got everything sort of buckled up with this one recently, and it's good that we've got this all ready to go forward for this next building. As you can see, like I mentioned, Lot 2 is where this building will be located, and Lot 3 is where that retention pond currently exists.
And refresh my memory, Steph, in terms of the school district boundaries, which one is this encompass?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I'm just checking to see if you're up on these things.
School district boundaries. Let me see if we have that on our website here.
I believe it's the one to the south of District 140 as far as the high school, if I'm not mistaken, probably
Richmond Park.
the one in,
It looks like it's the Rich Township High School
Yeah,
District.
okay.
And the elementary is District 159, and the secondary is Rich 227.
okay.
So that information's on our website. If you'd like to know where it is, I can show you. So, all right. This is an image from the 2007 ordinance. In the attachments that show these two buildings. And as I mentioned, the proposed plans are substantially in accordance with what this PUD called for back in 2007. And let's see here. This is the zoning for the site. You can see the dark gray and also where the star is M1 PD. That's our plan unit development. You've got some ORI on the CTF property, which is where we just looked at that Prosperity Cell Tower, I believe the last couple meetings. The amphitheater is also ORI. You've got some B zoning on the west side of Oak Park Avenue. You have I-80 bordering this on the north. And on the north side of I-80, you've got some residential. So there's really not too much around this right now. We do have Forest Preserve to the east of this on the east side of Ridgeland. So that will not be developing, and then to be determined for this lot to the south here.
And who currently owns the lot to the south that's undeveloped?
I'm not aware. I could look in the Cook County information, but it's not been someone that's contacted us recently about development.
They've been notified of the proposal or not?
No, because there's not a public hearing necessary, we don't send
Okay.
out notices in this case. So the notification would be really just being at this meeting per our current standards.
Okay.
Okay, so for the site plan, just want to go through some quick data for you. Lot 2 and Lot 3 are what are this development here. Again, Lot 3 is primarily just that retention area down there. The total area is just over 1 million square feet, or 23 acres. The building area is 295,690 square feet, or about 6.79 acres of building. The impervious area is about 7.28 acres. The green space is 4.81 acres, or 25.5% of the total area. The parking, we have 347 spaces. We have 36 truck docks proposed, plus also some truck dock expansion room for up to 32 more. Trailer parking, 80 spaces, and 2 drive-in doors.
Steph, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Who's going to be responsible for maintaining the detention pond areas?
They are. It's their private ponds, and as mentioned in the staff report, we want to get a maintenance agreement for the ponds. We did a similar thing for the ponds on Lot 1, or the ponds that serve Lot 1, and we'll be looking to make sure they have proper maintenance and get them established.
And who goes out there to make sure that they're being kept up? Because I noticed in some of the information that you guys provided that that was one of the things that the board saw, that
Yep.
in the first building, they weren't maintaining the detention area or retention
Right.
areas properly. So who goes out and looks at that to make sure that our drainage?
Yep, our landscape architect goes. They have a certain schedule, I believe, for inspections and
Throughout the town?
the certain ones that have maintenance agreements. We also go out if we get complaints or something, if code compliance gets something that's landscape related and needs technical assistance to review said landscaping. Our code compliance officers wouldn't specialize in that. They would ask our landscape architect to do that.
Was that complaint with the prior owner of the
the
development?
first building, yeah.
First building?
Yeah.
Okay. And obviously, you're not going to get involved in giving us problems, right?
Of course.
Okay.
So, like I said, we'll get a similar maintenance agreement in place, make sure that they get it established properly, because these ponds do function for stormwater purposes. They're not just there to be pretty, unfortunately. They're serving a function.
Oh, yes.
And being pretty, hopefully, if they're well maintained. So,
As former chairman of the Public Works Committee from a quarter century ago, I can attest to what happens when they don't work, yes.
You're right.
All right.
okay. A couple more things from the staff report for the record. There are some conditions in that 2007 ordinance I'd like to bring up, having to do with access on Ridgeland Avenue. The current plans don't necessarily show what those conditions call for, which would be pertaining to this building. The access drive to Ridgeland Avenue shall provide 1 inbound lane and 2 outbound lanes, the outbound lanes being a left turn lane and a right turn lane. The applicant needs to revise their plans to meet this requirement. They could do that prior to building permit if it was a condition of site plan approval. I want to also note, though, that because Ridgeland is a county road, any access they have is going to be subject to county review. And so we can't determine at this point what the county is going to allow, but this could be just a function of the actual width of the access drive. So my only caution in maybe making this a condition is if the county says something different. So the condition could be, you know, something about having adequate access per the county's review, or if you don't want to make a condition at all. We just wanted to bring up, since it was spelled out specifically in that ordinance, that we mentioned it at this meeting. One other thing, we do have what we call a minor deviation in this case, which is an administrative review. The minor deviation is the building size. It is 1.7% smaller than what was originally approved, based on the PUD, which is about 5,000 square feet smaller. Because it's such a minor change and it's a reduction, it's not considered a substantial or a major deviation, and so there's no special use that's needed. This is just what we consider an administrative minor deviation. But I wanted to make sure it was part of the report because it's not exactly as it was proposed in 2007. I do want to note that the PUD called for 1.2 million square feet as a whole between the two buildings on Lot 1 and Lot 2, and this building would put us over that still at 1.210 million square feet. So we'd still be essentially 10,000 square feet over what they originally anticipated. So we're not actually reducing the overall size of the PUD as far as building square footage. Any questions about deviation? All right, and then I know we like to talk about security as well. Because they don't have any tenants yet, they don't have any specific security measures in place as far as cameras, gates, or fencing. I do know that there are other industrial buildings that have contemplated some security measures on their property that they might be looking to add, such as fencing or gates or security cameras and everything. So maybe once they identify their tenants may prefer certain security measures or not want others. So right now they're not proposing anything. If you'd like to require in the future that they have certain security, that's something you can consider. But at this time, they're not certain what the client or the tenants will want.
Stephanie, may I
Sure.
ask a question? So from Ridgeland, they'll be able to access the building.
Correct.
And then you mentioned Lot 1, and will they be able to access Lot 1 then?
Yes.
Okay, and then go on
So-
to Prosperity
Yeah, if you
Drive?
if you look at the site plan on the southwest corner here of the site plan, you can see there's a curb cut that goes sort of downward in that corner, and that connects with the existing parking lot access on Lot 1. So they'll have to go through Lot 1 to go south to Prosperity, but they have that connection. So they can get basically from Oak Park Avenue to Ridgeland
Okay.
by going kind of between the buildings, if you will.
Okay, so I guess that would be my concern, is that, if there are any type of people coming from the village or leaving the village that might use that as a escape, or, if they're, I know there's some things that go on, around at Brookside Marketplace that can, people can use that as an escape, and if there's some security cameras, that might help with kind of identifying or seeing people that are kind of going through that route. And because I know once people look for the shortest route, and once people from the concerts know that, hey, we can bypass this area and and kind of cut through here to get through the east side. I think having some security cameras would be a would be a good idea.
Okay. Yeah, and I think the petitioner can speak to that when we get to the end of the staff report. I'm sure they've got some experience with concerts and the building on Lot 1 as well, and Like you said, this will sort of create a new outlet over to Ridgeland, and that would be very crafty for some people to use that to, get to the other side, but I'm sure someone will do it.
I'll be certain to point out to Commissioner Stanton that you've raised cameras, since he seems to be particularly
Yeah.
fond of them, so, when he comes again.
And to be fair to the petitioner, on all new construction or coming in for permits of existing building sites, we have been requesting, quasi-requiring security cameras that cover the entire outside of the property. Just giving you that heads up. I'm not here to vote for it, this is my own opinion, I'm trying to give you a heads up on that.
Okay. One other thing, because this is just a shell and they don't have tenants, they don't know their need for outdoor dumpster enclosures yet either. As of right now, they've identified a couple possible locations, but other than that, they would do all the trash storage interior to the building, which is preferable. They know that if they do decide to do exterior dumpsters, they would be subject to the conditions, the zoning ordinance, as well as the building code. Basically, they would have to match or be complementary in materials to the construction of the building. So those are to be determined. We get to architecture here. These are some renderings of the building. Again, this is precast and it is in gray tones. I wanted to show you a comparison to the 2007 exhibit showing what Building 2 might look like, and that's on the bottom. It's a little bit different architecture, but the materials have remained the same. We actually determined that because in 2007 the PUD said these are the approved renderings, these are also the approved materials, and so we actually did not need to get a building materials waiver from the Community Development Committee due to being basically what we termed pre-approved to do the precast materials. So just wanted to make sure you're aware of that. And then in comparison to the existing building on Lot 1, this is vastly similar to the industrial building on Lot 1. This is showing the west side of Building 1 along Oak Park Avenue. You can see it also uses similar gray tones, uses some windows. I think they've done a good job of making these look similar and yet unique from each other. Both very large buildings. One thing we want to note again, because it's a shell, but we don't have tenants, is that they have not designed the interior HVAC system. We did let them know that we want all of those rooftop units and ground units as well screened from view, and we'd like to ask that the Plan Commission consider maybe a condition requiring this in writing so that at a later date staff can review that to be adequately screened, since it's not part of the current plans. I want to bring up signage really quick. There's not a specific sign plan, again, because there's not tenants at this time. However, they've indicated a couple places on their plans where they might have different wall signs. There's a couple locations indicated for ground signs. Let me get back to this here. If you look in, if you look to the side here, there's one possible ground sign here. There's another one here off Ridgeland, and they're aware that the signs need to meet either the standards set forth in the PUD for signage, or the village regulations, whatever may apply. They do have a couple signs listed in their PUD that are, again, pre-approved with the PUD, and then whatever they are silent with, or if it's a different sign or a wall sign, they will have to meet the village's regulations, which you guys know lots about. Then landscaping, I just want to point this out. With building number 1, they did a great job of berming between I-80. If you look at the bottom picture, you see a lot of greenery rather than a lot of building. It really helps break up that massive expansive building. And even though the second building will be smaller, they're going to keep with this type of landscaping and berming. If you looked in the plans, there were many, many pages of landscaping just because the site is so massive. This is an excerpt of just one of the corners. This is the actual Ridgeland and I-80 corner here. And so you can see there's some contour lines on the north side of the proposed pond. And they'll be doing a similar berming feature here where they have a lot of landscaping on different elevations to, again, sort of mitigate the look from I-80 and really beautify that. I think that's all I have for you for the staff report. We still have to work out the final landscape plan with our landscape architect, so a condition of approval could be that staff would approve the final landscape plan with the building permit.
Stephanie, how about sidewalks? Are there any,
You know, we looked at public sidewalks. Let me go back to the site plan here. Unfortunately, along Ridgeland Avenue, it would be very difficult to do public sidewalks due to the grade change because you've got a sort of a ramp going over I-80. It would take quite a lot of engineering feat to do such a sidewalk. And eventually, I think the village would like to look more at doing some sort of bike system, maybe even an on-street bike path if we can get some improvements to Ridgeland. But it is a county road, so we're kind of waiting for what the county might want to do as far as the road. But public sidewalk along Ridgeland's not something that's feasible at this time.
how about Prosperity Drive, eventually when that does connect, who's responsible for putting in the sidewalks that would connect?
The developer would be the developer of that parcel that the road would go through. I think we currently have sidewalks along Prosperity, at least on the north side of it, where Building 1 is located. You can't really see it there, but I'm fairly certain we have it. I can double check here. And they would just continue that on. The issue with Ridgeland is it wouldn't really go anywhere to the south, wouldn't really go anywhere to the north. So it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense at this time. Yeah, the Prosperity sidewalk, let me show you here. So here is Oak Park Avenue here and Prosperity. There's just a piece missing right at the beginning here. Again, I'm sure that's because of the elevation, but the sidewalk does go all the way around this curve and then stops where this unincorporated parcel is. So we will eventually get that road to go through and have that public sidewalk go through, and hopefully someday it'll connect with something.
Thank you.
Great question.
Any other questions from the commission to the staff? Greg, we'll welcome any additional comments you have.
I'd be remiss if I didn't thank the commission for considering the petition and thank Stephanie for a terrific package and great presentation. I'm on the Planning and Zoning Commission in my community, and I'm going to drop this off at the staff so they can see how it's done. But, you know, Hillwood's thrilled to be in Tinley Park. In a short amount of time, we've accumulated just over 2 million feet of industrial product across 7 buildings, and we're currently 95% leased. We have tenants ranging in size from 14,000 feet to 900,000 feet at M Block. And in response to rumblings within our current tenant pool, we've decided this is a very good idea to take care of not only their needs, but also a shortage of product in Tinley Park. And we're hoping to continue a tremendous amount of success for not only the community, but for Hillwood as well. Thanks.
All right. Any other questions on the part of the commission for the applicant?
Regarding the conditions that staff has put forth to the commission to consider, are there any outstanding issues in your thought process as you stand there today?
I think the only thing that I heard that, I certainly wouldn't want to screen just to screen rooftop equipment, but to the extent, staff can have an objective review of what's being planned for the roof, and to the extent a sightline study dictates that, hey, this is an eyesore, by all means, we should screen it. But if it's set back far enough on the roof to where it's not something that you could see, maybe we consider a pulling provision for screening equipment that won't be visible from the right-of-way.
Is that an issue from your standpoint?
Yeah, this was a hard one to really write a good condition for because we don't know of the location of it. The intent is that it's either somewhere where you can't see it or it's screened so you can't see it. If you feel comfortable with an administrative review of the HVAC screening at building permit stage for the tenant build out, I think that's a condition that sort of solves both of our issues. And that way, it's not mandating it if it's really not necessary.
Yeah. I think what I'm hearing from you, Greg, is if it is visible in the line of sight, that you have no objection to some screening, but if it is not, then you see no reason to put a screen up just for the sake.
That would be
Is that
my
accurate?
request, yes, sir.
Okay. So perhaps whoever makes a motion, and just so we can summarize, I think we're looking at, if I heard correctly, 3 conditions for site plan approval to be attached. One would be to be certain the width of the access drive is in conformance with county review, that the rooftop HVAC, if it is visible in sight lines from surrounding roadways, I guess, or however you want to phrase that, be adequately screened. And the third one, I think, was that landscape plans be submitted to final approval to our staff. And I don't know, was there anything else?
Security cameras.
Okay, do you want to make that a condition?
Yeah, I think we should.
All
I
right.
think it's something
Security
we should-
camera would be the fourth one then?
Covering the parking areas.
Any issue with that you're aware of at this time?
I don't think it's a condition that is
Not a
something
deal
that we would
breaker?
dispute.
Okay.
Cameras aren't going to stop people from driving. They're
I
going to go
understand.
where they want to go, but if that would appease the board, I think that's a reasonable condition.
I have mixed emotions about it in today's world, or whether I have any privacy at all as I live out my final days. On the other hand, everybody gets concerned when we don't have them if something happens, so I don't know what to say, but, okay. I don't hear any great objection.
No.
Any other questions for the applicant?
No?
All right, thank you, Greg, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
At this time, we would be in a position, I think, to entertain a motion for site plan approval, subject to the 4 conditions we spoke about. And I think, apart from the suggestion from staff, you may want to modify that to some language in accordance with the conformance with the county's requirements. And number 3 there, you might want to modify to what we discussed, that if they're visible from sidelines from adjoining property or roadways. Other than that, I think we're ready to entertain a motion if someone's ready to make it.
I will, sure.
All right, go ahead.
Thanks, Chairman. I'd like to make a motion to grant site plan approval to the applicant Don Schoenheider of Hillwood on behalf of I-80 Commerce Center Number 2 LLC for a 295,690 square foot industrial building and related site improvements, including parking, lighting, stormwater retention, public utilities, and landscaping at the property located in the southwest corner of I-80 and Ridgeland Avenue within the M-1 PD General Manufacturing Tinley Park Corporate Center First Industrial Planned Unit Development. In accordance with the plans as noted on the list of reviewed plans within the staff report, with the following conditions: that the plans are revised at the building permit stage to show the access drive to Ridgeland Avenue shall provide 1 inbound lane and 2 outbound lanes, the outbound lanes being a left turn lane and right turn lane in accordance with ordinance 2007-0-007, and as long as they are in accordance with the Cook County ordinance?
But if we just say county instead
Or
of could?
County ordinance?
Might be well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Subject to county review.
Subject to county
Subject to
review.
county review.
Yeah. All right.
Number two, that the petitioner will provide security cameras. Number three, that the HVAC systems are adequately screened as determined by staff during the building review process. If they are visible from the public right away, HVAC systems will be screened. If they are not visible, then screening will be waived.
Okay. Number 4?
And number 4, the final approval of the landscape plan must be given by the village landscape architect prior to the release of any building permits.
All right. Got all that, Barb? Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Croner. If the secretary call the roll.
Moylan,
Yes.
Croner,
Yes.
Capel,
Yes.
Janowski,
Yes.
Tusher.
Yes. Motion carries. All right, we have site plan approval. I appreciate your working with staff on this, and we wish you great success.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
All right, are there any comments from the public tonight? Not that I'm disappointed, but I could use some sleep, so. Hearing none.
Do we want to enter that in?
Oh, that's a good point. There is one comment from Lee Talley. Supplied a letter to each of you concerning the residents' proposal development, urging a vote against it, voicing several concerns as to the luxury apartments. And I think all the commissioners have received a copy of that. So
Yeah.
we'll make note that that's been received by each of the commissioners. And I don't think there are any other comments from the public. Any other news from staff to share with the commission? And
Sure. One thing, earlier this week, we did take the sign regulations that we work so hard at here to the village, the Community Development Committee, which is 3 of the village trustees. And they determined that they liked everything you guys did with it, but they felt with the freestanding sign panel that option B, as in boy, was what they would like to go with moving forward. As you recall, the commission, on a split vote, I believe, went for option D, which was the most restrictive. The committee wanted to go forward with the one that only regulated the same background color and allowed the use of different fonts and font colors. So they wanted the branding to remain as part of it, but at least having the background the same. So we won't end up with the Bayberry Plaza sign at least, but we'll have some consistency that way. No random orange panels in the future. And I think overall it's a great improvement to the sign regulations for the village and a good step forward. And we'll be hopefully seeing that ordinance going to board in the next couple meetings and those regulations being adopted. So
Great.
thank you all for your hard work, and hopefully we won't have to revisit signs again anytime soon.
Honestly, thank you for managing that. You guys did a great job in managing that,
Yeah.
managing all of us. And
really, no, it was a lot of hard work, and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you. And just so everyone's aware too, I know we discussed it at the beginning of the meeting, but we do have a special meeting scheduled for Wednesday, the June 28th at 7:30 at Andrew High School to have a public hearing for the Residences at Brookside Glen project. That is the 144-unit multifamily development that's proposed. And we do want to encourage, obviously, the commission to be in attendance that night, and hope you all can be there. But we also want to make sure that the public is aware that that will be the public hearing for the project. And hopefully
Okay.
we can have everyone come out and put their comments on the record that evening.
And I guess I should know this, but can you remind me who is on the, who are the 3 trustees that are now on the Plan Development Committee?
The Community Development Committee is chaired by Trustee Glatz,
Glatz,
who
okay.
oversees community development. We also have Trustee Brady and Trustee Yonker.
Will they be in attendance at the June 28th meeting?
I don't know. I'd be happy to
Extend an invitation?
Yep. They're all aware of the meeting, I believe, and we'll be sending out the packet and agenda, hopefully. Oh gosh, what is our week next week? Obviously, at least by the Friday before, which will be the 23rd, if we can get it to you sooner, pending getting everyone else's items for that, as you mentioned earlier. We want to make sure to have, again, a thorough report for you and have all of the necessary attachments. So you'll be getting that packet as soon as we can get it all together.
All right, well, thank you very much.
I've got a question for you on the gymnastics. I finally saw a dumpster out in front of the building today, I think is the first day. Are they moving forward now with?
I believe so. Let me see the status. We do have our community development report posted on the website. It's under the quick links on the right-hand column of tinleypark.org, just in case people at home want to look for it. It's quick links, and it's called Monthly Report of Active Projects. And on there we have everything from planning to economic development to building, code compliance, zoning, and health. And the United Gymnastics Academy is pending further interior remodel, so I don't think the permit's been issued. I think we've had some delays back and forth with receiving plans, revisions based on comments. So again, it's the process for permitting is dependent on getting revisions to plans where necessary.
Is our process pretty streamlined, or is our process take its toll on these groups like this? Because it seems like it was pretty straightforward and it wasn't.
You know, like I said, my process is the planning side, not the building permit side. From what I understand, it's, you know, it's always dependent on the back and forth, and we obviously do what we can do with our staff to get it through our review stages, but we can't help their timing with getting plans back. We do have to send it to many different staff members in several different buildings here. We also have consultants sometimes that we have to send plans to for things like engineering review, or sometimes, you know, fire protection review that isn't done in-house, or just certain aspects that we just don't have the staff expertise for in some cases. But we're definitely hoping to work on improving that process. And I can't speak in comparison to other communities, but I think we do absolutely what we can to get our end of it completed.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think at this time, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Seconded by Commissioner Janowski. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for coming. Thank you for the commissioners that came, so we
Thank
can
you.
actually conduct some business.
Thank you.
Stephanie, always good to see you.
Yes. Nice job, Stephanie.